Hi, Guelph Moms. It's Tamsen. Welcome to the Tamsen Connects Guelph Moms podcast. I've put this together for the members of the Guelph Moms Supporting Moms Facebook group. I hope that you find it useful and helpful. I'm connecting members of the group with each other and with resources and with fun ideas for things like self-care and keeping kids busy while we're trying to work from home, or our kids might be, we might be homeschooling, our kids might be homesick. So I hope you find this helpful. If you would love to suggest another topic, get in touch with me, give me feedback. If you'd love to be a guest, you can always contact me through the Guelph Mom Supporting Moms Facebook group or private message me on Facebook. And you could also reach me through email, tamsen@tamsenconnects.com. So I hope you enjoy the episode. Welcome. Hi, Michelle. This is for Guelph Moms. I want to give you a chance to introduce yourself and tell us something that's great about being a mom in Guelph, and then we'll go from there. So thanks for joining me today. We had some tech issues getting started, so thank you for being patient.
Well, thanks for having me. And I know some of the tech issues are partly mine because I'm sort of on the outskirts of Guelph, so in Arkle. So sometimes the internet doesn't work here, even though I can walk to Guelph, which is saying a lot. We don't have good internet out here. I am a Guelph mom. I grew up in Guelph. I've been here my entire life, even though right now I'm in Arkle, but I still consider that sort of Guelph-ish. Yeah. I have two daughters. One is 16 and one is 14. So I'm on the adolescent end of parenting, which comes with its own challenges. Yeah. The great part about being a mom in Guelph, and it's hard right now because we're in the middle of pandemic, but this social media makes it great because there is, and I always felt that there was a community. So when my kids were young, there was, a baby basics group that we went to, which was great, especially the first time mom, because I did have postpartum issues. Okay. And so it was nice to have other moms there, and also just to have support from knowledgeable people in parenting. So I knew I wasn't alone, and I knew people were checking out for me, and which was nice. So that's one thing I love about being a parent in Guelph. And I am a small business owner. I also found that's very supportive in Guelph as well. Yeah. There's a small business community that we all kind of sort of encourage one another, and we want everybody to succeed. So that I do love.
There's a lot of, I love just all those different things you're talking about, different people. There really seems to be a helpful vibe to the community here, for sure.
Absolutely. I think so. And that's what I love. And I love talking to people. So thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
And that's what I miss partly most. I would say most about the pandemic is not being able to talk to people like you could before. And I know we have Zoom and technology is great. It's just not the same. And again, like this morning with tech issues, sometimes I cut out, which is kind of, So I do miss that piece, but I feel like the community as a whole wants each other to succeed and help out. So
yeah, and that's really nice about it. So I invited you on, and before we officially started the recording, I'm have multiple different directions we could go, but you own, I think, Catnap Cottages, right? Is the name of your business? Yeah. So you board cats. So your business was really affected by the pandemic, but I also think of you as a pet expert. And I don't know if anyone else has noticed, but a lot of people seem to be getting new pets because they're home. And I do think I would love to cover with you some of the things about why pets are great for self-care, reducing anxiety, for mental and emotional health. But also I worry some people are getting pets without realizing how much work they can be, the pros and cons. We don't have pets now and can't get pets because my husband's very allergic to anything cuddly. But I used to have cats and I loved them, and they really helped me from being totally, totally lonely. But they were also a lot of work, and I hated cleaning. So I always had hair everywhere.
Well, I always say, and it's seen on memes, or cups or whatever, no outfit is complete without some cat hair. So I feel like if I don't go somewhere with cat hair on, then I'm not doing my job right. So I always have cat hair. So see, there's some cat hair.
Okay.
Always cat hair. They are work. And even cats are work. And a lot of people sometimes think, oh, a cat is easy. And, but they do require care. And same with dogs. I don't know. I have been in the pet industry for 22 years. I don't want to date myself. I know I started as a toddler. But working in clinics and then having my own business. So I have been, and I love all animals, cats particularly. I love cats because they're peaceful. I find they bring me peace. And so that's why I do it, is because they're peaceful. But dogs are the same. My daughter has a dog and we love him. I love him. But he's a lot of work too. And so I think when people are looking to buy pets, they really need to research what kind of pet they're going to get.
Okay.
Whether it's a dog or a cat or a bunny, or a bird or fish, they all have some kind of care that you need to maintain. So, it's not just feeding, right? So dogs, you're feeding, you're walking, you got to scoop the poop. Cats are the same, right? Even hamsters or gerbils or bunnies, you need to clean their cage. So there is care involved. So I really encourage people that are wanting to get a pet to research what kind of pet fits their family the best.
Okay.
And then go along. And then when you've decided, so if you're going to get a dog or a cat, decide, what sort of breed is best for you. If you're not a family that likes to jog, then probably a higher energy breed is not for you, right? Do you have a fenced in backyard? Do you live in an apartment? All those things are important to figure out. There are, on the computer, on Google, you can Google it. I think maybe Purina has one too. If you're looking, you put in what kind of you're looking for. So do you want a long hair dog or a short hair dog? Do you want to groom? Do you want to get it groomed? That's another one with dogs and cats. Grooming is a cost. So, and even long haired cats sometimes need to get groomed. Especially I always say if it's a long haired cat, it's not going to like to get brushed, but you have to brush them. So there are costs involved in getting a pet, and not just the initial cost as well. So also healthcare.
Yes.
So think about, breeds too. There's sometimes there's websites too where you can look up certain breeds. What are they have more predisposed to? You can check. I always say check if you're going to get a specific breed, go to a reputable breeder, and meet them. You might not be able to see the puppies because they're, they hygiene and stuff like that, but they should be able to show you where they're kept. You want to make sure that the mother is looked after, that you don't have, 40 puppies or poop everywhere. You really want to check them out. And then obviously even rescues, you want to check out. I think there was that big thing. There was like 500 dogs on a plane coming over, right? Where they unfortunately died. So
I don't
really
remember hearing that, but yeah.
There was just a whole bunch on a plane. They were coming over and again, flying, it affects them. So you really want to check that this is a legit rescue. And a lot of rescues do it out of the goodness of their heart. So there are legit ones, but you really want to check them out to make sure.
Yeah. And there can be a lot of, I've just known several people, and not more neighbors than friends, but they've had rescue dogs and they're like, yeah, well, don't come near it because it's afraid. And animals that are like dogs that are afraid could be violent, could attack,
right,
because
absolutely.
they're, and that's, I don't want to blame an animal for that because they've had horrible experiences, a lot of these animals, but it's like, I know a fairly young woman had a rescue dog that seemed pretty violent. I'm like, well, the dog could live another 10 years. Are you not planning on having kids in that time? Like, you know, so when you
It's
commit to
important
having a
to like,
pet, to think
you
about
have to
that.
train them, whether you get a puppy or a rescue dog. There is training involved. So if you think you're going to get an adult dog and you don't have to train it, that's probably not the case.
Okay.
You do have to do some training. So that's another cost involved. With cats, you don't necessarily take your cat to training, so that's kind of nice. So if we're going the cat route, might be a better fit for some people. They are social as well. So not, some people think cats are sort of aloof. Cats are not necessarily aloof. Sometimes, yes, you have cats that will let you know what they want when they want it. And some cats are very all over you. I've had the gamut of everything, where they choose their time, which is fine. I like that actually, because I don't necessarily want to cuddle my husband all the time, right? You know what I mean? Like sometimes we're just like, I'm not in the mood for that. Don't pick me up. So whether you get a kitten too, like if you get a breed of kitten, again, you want to check out the breeder that's appropriate, and that it's actually a legit place. And lots of rescues. I mean, people ask me, what's the best breed of cat to get? A domestic cat. I mean, I love them. There are breeds that I love, like the Burmese. I love Burmese. They're little small, little cute little things, a little apple head. They're so cute. But I've always owned domestic rescue cats. Each one I've adopted one that was 2. I've adopted one as a kitten. And I had one that was dropped off at my door because it was hanging around somebody's house. And and I still have them. They've lived, my first 2 lived to be 19. Each of them were 19 when they passed. So long life. They didn't have many health concerns. They do. Cats get health concerns as well. So when we're talking about the financial aspect of pets, when I worked at the clinic, and this is a while back, so I left in 2008, you know, the thought was if you had $2,000 or $3,000 in your bank account, you could pay for an emergency of some sort. That's gone up for sure. Yeah. So if you're thinking about getting a pet, maybe even think about getting pet insurance. It's a good thing to have. There's many companies out there, so that just helps alleviate cost. And then as we're talking about the whole thing was how pets can help us during a pandemic. It's so true.
And anxiety in general, for sure. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, just I think back to when I was a kid, actually. My grandmother, she had health issues and she had mental health issues as well. And my mom bought her a dog. So my mom paid for the dog. So treatment, whatever the dog needed, my mom paid for it. But the reason why she did that was my grandmother loved that dog. And so every morning she was required to get up. She had to get up. She had to walk the dog. And I really think that the dog added years to her life. Unfortunately, she passed from a tumor, but she had to get up. She had to walk the dog. She had to feed the dog, and she loved it. So she did it every day. So it does help with mental health for sure. And I have actually, now we're talking about, I have the Pet Pantry, and I don't know if you know that, but actually the Pet Pantry is a pet food bank. So for people who are, especially in the pandemic, having troubles, you know, financially, often people will pay for their pets' food before they buy groceries for themselves. So that's what the Pet Pantry is for, to help people who are struggling.
How do people, if they need it, do they just come to where you are, or
how do people
use it right now?
Right now, I actually have been delivering it right now.
Yeah, because just pandemic wise, my family's at high risk, so I get red flags going off.
Yeah, no, at the moment I deliver it. I mean, I definitely have Catnap where people can pick up or deliver food if they need it. I mean, I have the vestibule, so I leave it in between the doors. And when I deliver it, I'm not in contact with somebody. I leave it, I message them, let them know it's at the door. We pick a convenient time.
So if people want to donate, do you take food donations, or do you take e-transfers, or what if somebody wants to donate to it?
Yeah, so right now we've actually just been taking food or litter or any pet supply actually.
Okay.
If somebody wants to send an e-transfer, that's great too. And we will buy food. So dog, cat, we've done, dog, cat, hamsters, birds, rabbits.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I didn't know that. That's good to let people know about both in case they need to use it and would like to help other people. So yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
So right now you can if you want to deliver food, Catnap Cottages is a place that you can deliver, and also Bearskin Bodyworks, downtown Guelph. Yeah, they also will accept a donation for me.
Cool.
Yeah. So that goes to the part of pets helping out in pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and your business is mostly though about boarding, right? And with people not traveling now, how has that been?
So in the beginning, obviously it was it was nothing. It was nothing. Over the summer it was okay. Mid-July to end of August was okay. Not a typical summer, but if people went to a cottage or such, I think I had one weekend where I was full, which is not normal for the summer. Usually every weekend is full.
Okay.
But it was better than I thought. Going forward in the fall, it's usually a bit quieter. So yes, it is quieter than the quiet time. But the good thing about that is I'm my own landlord. So I'm not going to kick myself out, which is nice.
Okay.
So, right. And I know a lot of business owners are struggling with rent or, but it's on my property. It's where I live. So that's super convenient. As far as staff goes, I had 3 staff part-time prior to the pandemic, which probably totaled up to be a little bit more than a full-time position. Since the pandemic, I'm down to 1 part-time staff. And the reason I keep her actually is I started working a part-time job at the grocery store. So I wanted to keep her. She's a good employee. I love her. And she works very hard. And I wanted to keep her around. So I took the job at the grocery store so that it's sort of a wash for me. So what I make at the grocery store, which is actually less than what I pay her, but that's neither here nor there, but it's enough that I can keep her working, and I want to keep her. So
and keep your business there so people can come back. Yeah. I mean, who knows how long this is going to last, right?
And even if I have 2 cats, I'm there, right? Like I'm in there. I have 2 or 4 or 10 or 50. I'm in there. So I wanted to keep her. So yeah, that's what I'm doing.
I hope she's as loyal to you as you are to her.
Hopefully.
Again, neither here nor there, right?
Yeah. If not, I'll find somebody else. That's the business. And I get it. Like if she had to get a job somewhere else because I don't have enough hours for her, that's the reality that we're living in. And I read a meme. It was like, we're not all in the same boat. We're all in the same storm, but all our boats are different. So, some people might be in, a rubber dinghy. Some people might be on a yacht. It's just all different. So
I'm lucky that my business was already online mostly.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not our main income. Like I don't have to worry about paying the mortgage. Right. So I'm very privileged, with that. Yeah. But my family we also consider ourselves high risk, and I'm very social. And I also miss what we were talking about, the networking and actually going out and seeing people. I have to be careful of my mental and emotional health because that's a really important thing for me.
It's so hard. That is the hardest part too. I found about the pandemic is my mental health. Like, so at the beginning, my husband, he always worked. So that was great. He has a job where he always needed to work, but he would be, they flexed their hours. So they used to work 5 days a week. Then they moved to 4 days a week, 4 10-hour shifts, which is great. And then so he had Friday, Saturday, Sunday off, which is lovely through the summer. But then they were on, they'd work 2 weeks and have 1 week off. So they limited the number of people in the building at a time.
Okay.
And then the kids were home from school. So every third week everybody was home. And I was like, I love all of you so much, but I really want you out of the house. Like, get out.
Well, you're fairly introverted too, aren't you?
I love to be extroverted, but I need the time to be introverted. Like, you have to recharge your batteries, right? So I was like, I can't reach. And my husband is a doer. Like, he has to do something. And so for his mental health, he's like ripping down the front room wall, like, and, sanding and butting and taping. And then he'd be like, I'm so tired. And I was like, I didn't sign up for that. I don't want to tape and mud the front room. I have no desire, or he's digging holes in the backyard, putting in a chin-up bar. And I was like, I'm just going to just sit here and have a drink of wine. I'm watching you. And that's another reason why I took the part-time job, was I just needed to get out of the house. So I just go to the grocery store. I pick people's groceries, and see people and talk to them in the aisle with my mask on. So yeah.
It's interesting to see how different people are dealing with all the changes in the pandemic and the effect it has on different people's emotional health and all of this. It's fascinating as somebody who's a people watcher, and I've always been interested in people.
It so is. And we have 4 people in our house. So when you think about like all 4 of us are different people, right? So it all affected everybody differently. My youngest, everything in her life, and she's the one that has special needs, everything in her life stopped, just abruptly stopped. So no school, no dance, no soccer, no hockey, nothing, no friends. And she's a social one. My oldest, who's an introvert, she was like, this is heaven on earth. I don't have to go anywhere. I can stay in my room and I don't have to answer my phone. So for her, it was great. But my youngest was like, it was very hard. And I find her, like, one day she was just crying in the kitchen and I was like, what is going on? And she's like, remember when Brooke would come over and she'd eat all the cookies, and Brooke was her friend, and they saw each other 7 days a week because they were in hockey, soccer, and school together. So then to automatically be like, nope, you can't see her anymore was hard, right? So literally that weekend I called her mom. I said, she's having a really hard time. And by that time we were allowed to, like, you could see somebody on the porch,
Okay.
So I literally drove to her house, and they're in the country too. So I drove to the house. She got out of the car. She stood at the car. Her friend stood on the porch, and they just, had a little talk, and they were having cake. So they brought her out a piece of cake, put it on the driveway, stepped back. And then my daughter picked up the cake and ate it. But just, for 10 minutes to actually see somebody was really nice. Yeah. And then we have to remind her that, we're still in this. So you have to be cautious. But then when I think about her now, she's paranoid, like totally paranoid about getting COVID, like very, so she's the, one extreme, and I want her not to get COVID too. Like, I don't want it. I don't want my family to get it. And I hear everybody in their opinions, and I feel like we gotta work this out. There's something that we gotta figure out, but just the extreme that she's like, somebody in her school got COVID. So she's texting me, I don't feel comfortable here. I want to come home, that kind of thing, even though the measures are in place. So
it's hard because there's obviously a physical health risk here, right? Like, it all started with, that's the obvious risk, but then the mental health and emotional health side of it very quickly slammed us right after that, especially those of us who are very social. And whoever, I kind of am at least a bit prone to anxiety, and just everybody who's worried about illness and stuff, that just soared. And
even if you never thought you were.
Well, yeah.
Right? Like, if you never thought you were a parent, but then all of a sudden you like, oh my gosh, I don't want to. And for me, I don't want to pass it to somebody.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And my son had, he's 9, he turned 9 in the summer. So he's not a high risk category, but he had bronchitis and pneumonia over last winter. So we're like, there's something going on. We don't know pre-existing conditions. Like, we don't know. And I could get sick and die. I'm going to die anyway, but it's hard on a kid when they're 9 if they lose a parent.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to be selfish, it would be incredibly hard on me if something were to happen to him. So it's scary. It's a scary thing.
Yeah, that's my big thing too, is to unknowingly give it to somebody, which I don't want to do. And I think I don't want to go into a whole political thing, but I think our country has handled ourselves pretty well during this event. And I honestly feel like my whole philosophy in life is that if we all just do the best we can, just honestly say, Michelle, I'm going to go out today and I'm going to be the best person I can and do the best that I can. And if we all do that, then at least we know that our country is not one of me first or a selfish nature. And so I think I love Canada. I think that's the country in. I love Guelph. I think that's the city we're in, where people are actually very kind and thoughtful of one another.
Yeah. I like to believe that people are doing the best they can. Mm-hmm. I've been schooled by some people saying they don't think that, but I like to think we are, based on the resources we have, the knowledge we have, all of it. I don't think anyone's actually trying to be a jerk.
No, that's what I think too. And I think I think for my own mental health and my mindset, if I get to the point where I'm thinking, oh, that person is doing it on purpose, then actually it's damaging my mental health and my health. And so, and if somebody's going the wrong way down the aisle and not following the arrow, I'm like, it's an accident, they didn't notice. I went to a store, just last weekend, I went up to the store door and I get to the door and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't have my mask on. Mm-hmm. So it does happen, right? So if that person runs in and then they're like, oh my gosh, they didn't have their mask on. Maybe they forgot in the car and they don't actually realize. And I'm like, just go with that.
And it's easier to be putting help out into the world and when you think that other people are the same, right?
I think so. And that's the way I'm going to keep going. People might think I'm naive or, left of center or whatever, but for my mental health, I can't live in a world where I think everybody's out to get me either. I really want to believe that people are good. And I think in general, people are good. Yeah. And again, we have that community, the Guelph community, right? And you see that on your Guelph moms, supporting moms, right? Sure. People are generally out there to support one another. And in motherhood, everybody's doing the best they can, and your kids are going to be okay. I had postpartum too. I breastfed my babies for 6 months because that's what they told me I should do. And I did it. I did not like breastfeeding my children. And my dad's like, why don't you stop? And I was like, nope, I'm not stopping, because if at 40, my youngest says, I'm not smart because my mom didn't breastfeed me, I am not responsible for that. So I'm doing it. We get so
many messages that we're supposed to breastfeed. It's so much better for all these reasons. And yes, and there's a whole community even in Guelph around Amanda Bailey is somebody I've interviewed in a number of ways. And she created resources for moms who either can't or don't want to breastfeed because of all the pressure. It
was so hard. It was so hard. That is it was hard. The giving birth was hard. I'm going to give you that. But breastfeeding was hard. My first daughter didn't eat. She didn't. That's okay. She didn't.
Getting calls.
That's okay.
The phone calls.
That's okay. Yeah, my first baby, she didn't eat. She had to be naked. Like they were naked. They put the cold cloth on her in the hospital. It was, so emotional. So emotional. So yeah, I love that you have that Guelph mom supporting moms.
Well, thanks. Yeah. And that's one thing that connects me to my purpose and my community and people and being social is I love that it helps other people, but it helps me to be able to help other people. Right.
Yeah. And then it's
huge for me.
Yeah, and people can put in, with what they've experienced, and it doesn't always work for everybody.
Oh no!
But the poster can, look and take each thing and apply it how it fits for them. But seeing that, there might be 40 comments on the post, there might be 40 different ways of handling a situation, and doesn't matter which one you do, which way you go. It's not correct. It's right for you in the moment. And that's the same thing during this pandemic and homeschooling or going to school. Same thing. You know,
I agree.
You do the best you can for you and your family, and just go and be kind going forward.
Yeah. And I take when people ask for referrals or advice or whatever, I always kind of, the first step is not feeling alone, right? Knowing you're not the only one.
Yeah.
Is the first thing to kind of feeling okay and grounded and not like totally out there. Because I think we need that foundation, right? We think, am I the only one? Am I the only one? And it kind of isn't logical, but it's an emotional thing, right? And then the second thing, I agree. Like if you get 40 different suggestions, just take them as suggestions, because everybody has a different story. Everybody has a different family situation. Like our family situation, it just makes sense for us to isolate as much as possible because we're afraid. But it makes sense for other families to send their kids to school.
Yeah. And again, you're in a situation where you're fortunate enough to be able to do that.
Yes, exactly.
And then other people can't. And so don't feel bad that you can't, you know, like you go forward, being kind and doing the best you can with what you got. That's the way I think.
Exactly. And I think that's thank you for being here. I think that's a great place to end it, because I think that's an awesome way to go through life. And it kind of is a choice. And I think I get from you that that's kind of your natural way of being, but it is a choice too, right?
Yeah. 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 I wish you were around when I had my children. I mean, you were around, but I mean, the Guelph
we didn't know each other, and I wish I have built what I wish I had. I didn't know anything about Facebook groups until my son, I think, was about 5.
Yeah.
And I really could have used it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So yay. So we get to be there for other people, and that's a part of the healing journey, right? Is to try to make sure other people don't have to go through what you did.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
So,
and you're going to make it through. You're going to make it through.
We all are. And we have each other's backs, right?
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay. So I hope you found that episode useful, fun, interesting. If you'd like to give me feedback of any sort, I'd really appreciate it. You can private message me through Facebook. You can reach me through the Guelph Mom Supporting Moms Facebook group, or you can email me at tamsen@tamsenconnects.com. And I hope to see you back here again. Bye.